Welcome to London Tonight at the start of the news hour here on ITV1.
A special report from Afghanistan's frontline and a possible makeover for that 2012 logo. Just some of the stories ahead in the next half an hour.
From London to Afghanistan, we're out on patrol with Territorial Army soldiers from the capital as they taste life on the front line.
That's what happens to the winners of London Tonight's unsigned competition. We meet one band making waves.
But before all of that, with 58 British soldiers killed in Afghanistan since the war began, the British military is hurting because of the conflict and has at times been forced to acknowledge that the mission has been tougher than they expected. London Tonight has learned that the Territorial Army, trained right here in the capital as part-time soldiers, are being used to help bolster troop numbers in combat. In fact, we were there to witness it for ourselves.
We were invited to join Somme company as they were deployed to Camp Bastion in Helmand Province. Initially, their orders were to guard the main base there.
But it quickly became apparent that their mission would be much, much more than that. They were sent out on patrol to the town of Gereshk. That's a known Taliban stronghold.
Our correspondent Simon Harris and his cameraman Kevin O'Mahony were there with the TA on the front line.
We face a very committed enemy. An enemy that does not like us being here and, more importantly, wants to subvert the people in the town that do want us here.
2 months ago, most of these soldiers were on Civvy Street. Today, they're in enemy territory, Taliban territory. This is the town of Gereshk, and the part-time troops from London are on a foot patrol.
And there's obviously Taliban about, and they've obviously been here in great numbers in the past, but they're being pushed out, and I think the local people are glad that the coalition is here to do that.
The soldiers are from Somme company, a unit made up mostly of members of the TA's London Regiment. Rob Denman is their sergeant major. Back in London, he works as a prison officer.
It's an ordinary Afghan town. There'll be people out on the streets, so you'll see soldiers, us, talking to the locals and interacting with the locals every step of the way.
How risky is it?
Well, yeah, obviously there's a certain amount of risk. The Taliban have been active in this area and are active further up the valley, but we're here, we're managing the risk. The local Gereshk locals are fairly happy that we're here. The local nationals are extremely glad of the new security situation in town.
They weren't expecting to do this. The Territorials were sent to Afghanistan to guard the main British base. But with the army at full stretch and the enemy putting up a determined fight, their role is changing.
You just got to be constantly alert, but you've got to bear in mind that we're here at the invitation of the Afghani people. As a result of that, our posture is what we call a soft posture. So the blokes are patrolling without helmets on and weapons ready, but not obviously in the shoulder. We do our best to interact with the locals. And, you know, it's about common sense. It's about how they engage with you, how you engage with them.
It's hard to believe, but by Afghan standards, Gereshk is a wealthy town. But then this country is one of the poorest in the world. It's crying out for reconstruction and development. But Afghanistan is far too dangerous for civil servants and aid agencies, so the military is doing the job instead. Walking through the streets of Gereshk, you get a real sense of what life is like in this country. Sure, there are plenty of smiling faces, particularly from the children, but this is a deeply deprived country. There's a lot of poverty. The open sewers along the streets provide a smell which is unbearable. An hour into the patrol and suddenly the mood alters. Some company are told over their radios that a bomb has gone off just a few streets away. They also suspect they're being watched. Anyone with a mobile phone could be a Taliban informer. The posture of the soldiers changes as they begin to check every alleyway and opening. It's the perfect environment for a sniper or rocket attack. Carefully, and now wearing helmets, they withdraw to the relative safety of an Afghan army compound.
Off to our right-hand side, as we're coming parallel to the main road, there was an exchange of gunfire off maybe about a K to our right, not involving any of our call signs. And as a consequence of that, the Afghan National Police and the Afghan National Army are deploying out on the ground.
Back here, Somme company have learned that 2 Afghan police officers were killed in the explosion. Another one was injured. They're now on standby, still here in Gereshk, in case the Taliban decide to follow up their attack. This won't be a one-off. The part-time soldiers of the TA can expect a lot more missions to the front line.
Well, I don't think the enemy forces see them any different. They wear the same uniform, they operate in the same way as we do, and therefore certainly I don't. And as we develop their capability through experience, they're proving themselves to be every bit as fearless and every bit as competent as my soldiers.
In this war, the territorials are sharing the same risks as the regular army. Against the Taliban, their part-time status guarantees no protection. Simon Harris, London Tonight, Gereshk, Afghanistan.
And we're going to have more from the team in Afghanistan on tomorrow's London Tonight.